So now let's talk about the designs that work really well in your sashing. The sashing area of your quilt is a really important area. It's the area between your blocks. So you'd have a block up here and you'd have a block down here. And more than likely you might have a little cornerstone here where your sashing meets up, and then this would go up this way and come down this way. So you might have a little cornerstone here to do something fun in. But this area is oftentimes quilters will just simply stitch in the ditch around it and then leave the area open. They won't actually fill it with anything. They won't actually do anything with it. And this is really unfortunate because this area has so much potential for free motion quilting. And then what's really neat is that some of the designs that don't work well in blocks, so like edge to edge or edge to center designs, don't work really well in blocks in the kind of dense and complex areas of your quilt. They work really well in your sashing. So let's take one design, and this is Mario Vine. I'm going to stitch a straight line through the center, and then of course you would travel back, and I'm left-handed and I would cover up half the design, so I'm going to travel from this side, and all you do is you simply come up with these kind of feather shapes. See how easy that is? All it requires is first stitching the straight line and then stitching your feathers, and you could take that out all the way to the edges of that sashing and really fill it up, or you can keep it really small within the edges. So that's an edge-to-edge design that wouldn't work very good in a block, but works great in your sashing. You can also take this, you don't have to stitch it horizontal, you could also stitch it vertical. So here's my sashing again, and if I wanted to stitch that vertical, I would just simply create straight lines and stitch my Mario Vine running the opposite way. Now, of course, if you're very chaotic with how you stitch your straight lines and they're not evenly spaced, that can be noticeable. So one thing you might want to mark on your quilt would be even placement. So let's say you had 9 inches of sashing. If you wanted a Mario Vine stem to come up every inch or so in that 9 inches of sashing, then you could mark straight lines every inch. And that would keep them all happening at the exact same time. But you can still freeform stitch your leaves. So I hope that makes sense. Edge-to-edge designs work really, really well in sashing, and edge-to-center designs work really well as well. So let's play with an edge-to-center design. This is modern art. We're going to take a triangle shape, and we're going to just play with different shapes of triangles, some of them really big, some of them really small, and take them all the way down through the center of the sashing. Now you would get over here to either the cornerstones or the edge of the sashing, and you would stitch down. You're just going to travel, either stitching in the ditch, or you're just going to simply travel down along the edge of a block, and then you're going to stitch up with more modern art triangles, matching up and butting up against the triangles you stitched on the first side. So this is edge to center because you're stitching the triangles into the center on both sides. And you're just using this edge of the sashing to travel along to create each triangle. You wouldn't want to break thread between all of them. You're just going to travel along it to create more triangles. As long as you stay on the line and you don't get in the block down here, it's going to look perfectly fine. So that's really kind of gives you a good idea of all the different things you can do in your sashing. If you do piece cornerstones into your quilt, I encourage you to really start thinking about the different textures you can put in your cornerstones as well. A really fun design is Super Daisy. So you start with a circle and then a daisy, and this can be stitched big or small, so even if you only have a 2-inch cornerstone, this will still work. And then you just simply, once you stitch your daisy, you simply go around, bouncing around it with more echoes until it completely fills the space. Just continue around, and whenever you get to the edges, just kind of fill those in as evenly as you can. So you can see how interesting this sashing would be stitched with these different designs. Edge to center designs, edge to edge designs. This is a center fill design because we're working from the center out. This is much more interesting than leaving your sashing blank and open, just simply stitching in the ditch. There are so many different things we can do with our sashing, and I can't wait to get to this part of the video and show you what you can do in free motion section quilting your quilt. So let's get started stitching some sashing. Don't miss the next part of this video. Check it out at freemotionquilting.blogspot.com.